So I'm welcoming you into my home to join us single moms of Phoenix to have another discussion on Sundays. This is what we regularly do to decompress, just be transparent.
Right.
Like talk about the issues we had for the week and, just encourage each other. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jamila, earlier you were talking about you never thought that you would be a single mom
Yeah,
statistic.
I never thought growing up, I saw people, blended family, whatever their case was. I never thought I'd be one checking those boxes off next to my name, whether it be a single mother or having a blended family, my child having a half sibling.
Yeah.
Because I never was exposed to that. So now I'm here.
Yeah, I think it's the same with me too, because I thought I was going to live the Cosby Show life.
Right.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I did.
I think just growing up that way, like I grew up in a 2-parent home with my siblings, raised in a very traditional Baptist type family that I never imagined that I would ever get divorced,
Right.
let alone be raising my child by myself.
But that's a problem too, because I grew up with both of my parents, and so divorce was not an option. But at some point, it can be a one-person kind of thing. So here we are, single.
Well, see, I grew up in a one-parent household.
Me too.
So, like yourself, I thought the same thing. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have this best life. I'm going to be like the Cosbys, and that's going to be it for me. I never thought, just like what Jamila said. So when I go to my daughter's recitals and, everybody there, and it's predominantly all families, and single mom me just sitting there by myself, and I'm like, wow, I didn't sign up for this, but I'm here.
I don't know. How active is your child's father in her life?
Well, he's in a different state, so he doesn't, if anything, he may come out once a year, but that's not consistent.
Right. And yours?
Mine is a great father in the spirit. I'm praying for him.
Right? No, seriously. Speak those things as though they
That was a good
were,
one.
even though they may not be. But
Yeah. And as yours is 18.
yes, thank God. I think.
I can't wait.
I waited. No, that's what, you know what I mean? I waited for her to
Yes.
be 18 so then I could be like, woo, I can be free. She could be self-sufficient. And I realized probably about 13 that she needs me more now in the
Yes.
later
I
years.
agree.
Yes.
For me, it's been much more challenging. I would love to go back to 6 months to about 8 years old,
Yeah.
I agree.
where I thought, it was hard because, you're not really trusting with anybody with your
Right.
child. And then I felt even, having a girl, it was even more pressure on me to protect her, to make sure she was all right, things of that nature. And then those preteens hit, and I was like,
You are so right on that.
what the hell is this?
Mine's at 12 and 13, and that's the age when they need, because that's when they figure out their father wasn't there, what their mother was doing. So this is a great time that you have to spend with them. You really, like I thought when they're older, I could just go and do my thing and they could be
Right.
home. No, I'm like, where are you? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Because this is the age that they start, wanting to be on their own, experimenting, and so.
And we all have teens, but Jamila
Yes.
has a little baby,
No, I
so.
have an almost 2-year-old.
I missed that.
So my situation is definitely a little bit different from all you guys, because
Right.
I'm such a new mom,
Right.
still breastfeeding, so he's a leech, so, and I can't go anywhere, like, I literally, I breastfeed on the toilet, sorry TMI, but seriously,
Right.
I don't do anything
Right.
without him, so, I do struggle, and I don't leave him with anyone,
Yeah.
so, and that goes for family, friends, anyone. I don't care if you have kids. I just don't.
But they're
you know,
still leeches when they get older.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
my baby girl, she is. I mean, not that it's a bad thing,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, if we're in a store and if I stop too soon, boom, boom, she's right.
You're right. Yeah. Your shadow.
They stay
Exactly.
leeches.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But as
Forever.
much as we struggled with our children when they were little, don't you look back and you're like, oh my God, where did time go?
That's what I
Yes.
was just about to
Like
say to her.
this.
I was going to say my best advice would be cherish it because it flies
Yes.
by so soon,
It
so
does.
quick.
Yeah.
And if you're doing this single mom thing longer than you anticipate, that time's going to fly by and you're going to look back and wish that you had that time with him.
But it doesn't seem like
quality
it
time.
when you're going through it. Because I
No.
remember all the people, oh, enjoy your children. And I used to be like, oh my God, stop. Like, it's hard. It's hard
Yeah.
because I'm like surviving,
Right.
But I look back and we did a lot of, and I have memories. Like I have things that I did with them because it goes like this before you know it, it's gone.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
18.
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah, and I think in hindsight, I would have stopped to smell the roses, so to
Yeah.
speak,
Yes.
and to not been like, okay, now I got to get my hustle on. We got to have
Yeah.
this. I got to do that, and not so much worry about things.
Yeah.
And spent more time with her and did more mommy things, built more memories. We were watching Crazy Rich Asians last night.
I love that movie.
And, you know, there's so many traditions, you know what I'm
Yes.
saying? And I said
Yeah.
to my daughter, I was like, we don't have any traditions.
Yeah.
No.
And just because we are absent a father or a husband in the household, we're still a family.
Exactly.
And so now she's 18 and I feel like, dang, we missed out on
Yeah.
things for her to be like, I remember the things that me and my mom used to do every such and such a day, or every time we did this, that, and the other. I mean, we watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians on Sunday, but
Yeah.
that's not what I'm talking
Right.
about. You know what I'm saying? And so now, of course, everything's always hindsight. And well, you know, when raising children, certain things you would have said or did differently. But that's one thing I wish I would have created a tradition
Yes,
with her
I
Yeah.
agree.
that
Oh,
we
it's-
could
that's
she
such
could
a
pass
good-
on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Such
because
a
my
good
baby
thing.
said she didn't have a childhood. She
Yeah.
specifically told me that I didn't have one.
Oh wow.
But you,
Really?
she touched me because, like, just last year, I started saying I'm gonna enjoy life because tomorrow's not promised for our children or me.
Right.
And so I used to be very strict during the week. There's no going out to eat. There's no, you know, I'm gonna cook. Now it's like, let's go get some frozen yogurt. Let's do this. Like
Yeah.
building those memories
Right.
because you can't be so strict. Before you know it, life is gone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
your children are like I don't have no memories.
I don't think that her situation is a case where it's like she didn't have a childhood because I was working so hard and I wasn't able to build memories. I think they know it's a unique situation.
Right.
Her dad's been in prison since she was 5. So
Right.
I have no help. I'm just doing all of this by myself. Like, so when I used to go to work and work overtime because I'm not getting child support or anything like that,
Yeah.
like, I remember it being like 2:00 in the morning, going into work overtime at Bank of America, and my daughter calling me like, "Where are you?" And I had to read the Bible to her while I'm working so she can go back to sleep. Like, it's
Yeah.
it's serious. Yeah.
That's how we all touched because although their father is here, he's not consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That's
you
the
know,
biggest thing.
right.
It's
So
consistency. Kids need
it's
that.
hard. Being a single mother, it doesn't matter. We come from different backgrounds. It's
Yeah.
just hard. And it's something that it's nice when you have a community of single moms that we can
Right.
speak to
Yes.
each other
It's
Right.
true.
and
said
help.
It takes a village.
You just
Yeah.
said it.
It does
And
take a village.
Candace, when you talked about, you know, being working and working overtime, it reminds me of my situation where, as you know, I was always going to school and working full time. And I look back and I'm like, I'm so thankful for the tribe that I had.
Yeah.
You know, I had friends that were there, you and Point, that would take my daughter for me, you
Yeah.
know, when I had
That's
to
awesome.
study.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I had my mother. My mother would keep her for me sometimes when I had to take a full load of classes on. She
Yeah.
would have her for me through the week. And it was hard for me because I
Right.
felt like, oh my gosh, I'm not
You're
doing my
missing
part.
out.
I'm missing
Yes.
out.
Yep.
But I'm so thankful for that because I always remember she didn't ask for this.
No.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I think it's really important that you have your tribe
Support.
supporting you.
Yeah.
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 And I think it's important what you just said, because I said it all the time, like you only get one childhood. And that's something to keep in the forefront of your mind, which I didn't, because sometimes, you know, just again, trying to make ends meet and
Yeah.
things of that nature, you know, I didn't keep that at the forefront of my mind. Like you only get one childhood. Like I had mine, and I would sometimes say that to her dad, like I had mine, you had yours. You grew up in a 2-parent household. I grew up in a 2-parent
Yeah.
household. Like at minimum, she should have an active mother and an active father because
Right.
we both had those role models. We both had that example.
That's true.
And we had a good upbringing. Both of
Yeah.
us did. So it's like, how is it that we didn't build on our foundation and what our
Yeah.
parents had, and like we just went the
Yeah.
opposite direction? So I would always say that. Only get one childhood, and then now that my daughter is 18, I mean, I must confess, I'm like, there's so many things that were missed.
Right.
And sometimes I take a step back and I look and I'm like, what do you know? Like, what are you
Yeah.
doing? Or I'll get frustrated with her and I'm like, yo, there was some gaps.
Yeah.
But
But
where's,
you
where's
could've
the
built
book?
on
Where's
there.
the
Yeah,
book?
right,
Where's the book
yeah.
on
Where's the
raising
book?
kids?
Yes.
And
Yes.
you can't be expected to do everything.
Yeah.
Right.
I had to get out of that. Sorry, excuse me for interrupting you, but I had to get out of that, like, just from you saying, like little traditions
Right.
and doing things.
It's a
and
guilty
many things you
conscience.
missed.
Yes.
Yeah, and like even having a 2-parent household, both of you guys have it. I'm right now struggling with failing. Like I feel like such a failure. Like dang, I couldn't even give that to my baby. Like so badly did I want, because so my older brothers. I have 5 older brothers. So the older 3 grew up with both parents in the household, and then the younger 3 of us had like the fighting, the turmoil, and separating back, going through a divorce, all that. I just had no, like, I remember very little times of my dad being in the house, but I do remember the day he left. Like, the U-Haul truck, and I remember the door slamming, him leaving, my mom's on the phone with like a church mother on the phone. She's like, no, he's going to take this number, and I'm going to get a new phone number. And I remember that day and just standing at the door.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it's so crazy to me. And now my mom keeps my baby every day in that room. Like, remember my dad, like, my baby's being raised in that room, like, every
But
day.
you know
That's
what?
his
You're
playroom
not a failure
and
because
stuff.
if you both commit to raising this child, he would have both of you.
And see, I had to get out of, so back to like the traditions and stuff, I
Yeah.
had to get out of thinking I needed to wait for his dad to be there for us to do
Yeah.
stuff.
No,
So I'm like,
no.
dang, like I haven't even taken my baby to the park because I'm waiting for your dad to get off of
Wow.
work or
Yeah.
something, like, and I'm like, I can do that by myself. And
Yep.
I just didn't know, I just didn't feel like I could, you know? So I'm like, no, because he wants both of us there, but I'm like, he doesn't know. He just wants to
Yeah,
have fun,
he just
you
wants
know?
to have
So,
fun.
and it's just like my idea of what a family should be or what I thought. It was my
Right.
idea, you know? So, you know, to each their own, you
But-
know, but
Yeah.
this is where I
But
am
you know
now.
what? As time progresses, and I think you're not there yet, which is good.
Yeah.
But just heed this. I feel like I'm not a mom or a dad. I'm both. I don't feel like I'm a woman or a man. I feel like I'm both.
Yeah.
So I do everything.
Yeah.
When it comes to pulling the weeds in my yard,
Yep.
Yeah.
changing the light bulbs, changing the filters, I do everything.
Yes.
And I don't feel like I have a defined role.
Yeah.
I
Right.
just,
No,
I'm just,
yeah.
I'm just a human that's raising my child,
Yeah.
Right.
and
I-
that hurts.
Yeah, and I know exactly, like, one little thing that I went through, like, just not even a year ago. I bought my baby Power Wheels, like a little truck, and this huge box came, big as this table. And I'm like, oh, dang, we got to call your dad and wait for your dad to put it together.
No,
and I
baby
was
girl.
like,
That's
you know
all
what?
mental.
You gotta put
And
it
I was
together
all
yourself.
I did it by myself. And so when I talked to his dad, I sent his dad a video of him driving his truck, and I said, and to think I almost waited to call you. And I
Right.
was like, Mama did it for her baby. So my baby rides around his neighborhood with his little lifted Jeep.
And get
so-
ready because you have boys.
So,
Wait till
yeah.
they start telling you when they're going through development and you don't have dad if he's not there to call because it's hard. How do you tell? I'm a female. How do I tell a boy what his changes are like?
Yeah.
So I had to look it up and I had to read so I could sound like at least I'm educated in what I'm
Right.
telling you.
Yeah. No, even little things like changing his diaper, like I'm like, okay, so sometimes when he wakes up and you know, like
Right.
his little private, I'm like, what do I, and he's like, so I call his dad. He's like, no, put it up. I'm like, what do I do with it? And I was just like, I don't want to hurt it. I'm like, that's it. So I'm like trying to change his diaper. And
You don't
he's
want
like,
to break it.
yeah, I'm gonna hurt him.
I know it's TMI,
So
but they're
funny.
at that point where they're fully developed,
Yeah.
hairs, and they're like, "Mom, look how long." I'm like, it's
See,
because
boys,
we
they're
developed,
so
we
happy.
developed that open door that we
Yeah.
could talk
Right.
about anything.
Right.
So they're like, "Look how long," and I'm like, "Okay, no way," because
Yeah.
now it's too, just covered. But
Yeah, seriously.
so it's fun. I
Yeah.
mean, you get the best of both worlds when you're a mom, a single mom. You
Oh,
get the
yeah.
mom, and that's awesome
Right.
because you're gonna have a bond that nobody could break.
Yeah,
You know.
for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
But in that, we have to break the cycle of society, and I don't speak bad about their dad.
That's
Yeah.
I
Oh,
don't
Because
either.
we have
I
to
don't
when
either.
they get
unfortunately,
older.
I grew up seeing that. So I
Yes.
grew
Yeah.
up with preconceived notions about my dad. So as an adult
Yes.
right now, I'm undoing all the
Yeah.
learned
Yeah.
behaviors and
Yeah.
the
Right.
learned emotions that
Yes.
I should have to him. You know, and so even my mom, we have a much better relationship now because she sees all the stuff that my son's father and I have been through and how I can be so gracious
Cordial
to him
and, I mean,
cordial
yeah.
and loving.
Right.
I'm like, this is the other half of the best part of my life. Like
right.
I
Right.
can't
Right.
like sure I don't agree with a lot of things you do. I don't like what makes you happy, but that's okay. You know, like I can't
Yeah, but
control
with
that.
me, him not being there when they needed him, I needed to learn how to say, pray about him.
Right.
He
Yeah.
you know, and I have to
Yeah.
tell my children, you know, we're humans. We make mistakes. I don't care if he's your dad, if I'm your mom, we make mistakes.
There's
like
no book.
right.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
book.
So just pray about him and give him a call. And, you know, I had to push him because they got to the point that I'm not going to call because he's not going to answer. I'm not going to call because he's not there.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to say that they have a better relationship now, you know, because I refuse to say, oh, that's your dad. You know, no. And when
No, yeah,
people
you
say that
can't.
to their children, you're just like your dad. That is
No,
so
yeah.
sad.
And you know
Never.
the saddest thing when I was pregnant, his father and I we were in an argument, and it was like a little tit for tat something, and he just had this like really deep sigh, and I'm like, what, you know, like, because we weren't talking, we just thought I had the last word, and then he had this sigh, and he's like, one thing I fear is that you'll tell our son you're just like your dad, but in the negative way. And that broke my heart, like that he would feel that me saying you're just like your dad is only negative. And so I responded like, well, do things that you would be proud of, like, you know, like make
Right.
it be something good, like him to be like his dad. Like his dad was an excellent baseball player, you know, so my baby's whole room is vintage baseball. His dad's newspaper articles are in there, so you see this great part of the best part of your dad's life and strive to
That's
be
good.
that, you know.
Right.
So
That's really
because
good.
like I said, growing up and having these feelings about my dad, like that's not a child's place. These were
Yes.
our
Right.
decisions.
Yes.
And I hated growing up like that. Like even now, like my dad's remarried, and that was a child, that was not for a child, you know. And
Right.
I like they didn't do a good job about protecting our peace about that situation.
Yeah.
So I try so hard just to protect
That's
my baby when
important.
it comes to that
Exactly.
stuff, because it's
Exactly.
not my job to make up his mind about his
Right.
dad.
Right.
And
At
that's
all.
what I tell my daughter too. I say, my relationship with your dad is my relationship with
Right.
your dad.
Exactly.
Yes.
Your relationship with your dad is your own individual relationship. So what he and I went through and this and that, it has nothing to do with you, baby.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's your relationship with your dad. I
I
never, ever, ever, and you're
Yeah.
right, I never want her to grow up, because I grew up with my mom. My dad was absent from when I was really young. I want to say before I was one. And so I remember my mom, and I'm making mistakes, but I remember my mom, it was a negative, it was always a negative representation of my dad, but I never had a relationship with him. It was always based on her
You didn't know any
relationship
better,
with him.
yeah.
Exactly. And I
But
said, I'm gonna do
sometimes, like, I
better.
grew up with both my mom and my dad, but my dad was always working. So I really didn't get to know my dad until I was an adult.
Yeah, same. My dad was
So,
so busy.
yeah,
But
so
the thing-
sometimes-
I had
Sorry.
consistency though. No, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. But the thing with my dad, I can say as much work he did, he's so busy, he's still busy. He was so consistent. Like I still know my
That's
schedule
awesome.
till this day.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
Mondays and Thursdays, first and third weekend. You know, like I know when my dad was picking me up from school, when he was coming over, my dad did very well for himself, and I was always like, Dad, why do you live in these like ghetto apartments or whatever, you know? He's like, because I'm walking distance from you. He's like, if this is where I
Oh,
have to
that's sweet.
live,
Right.
and I never like all the sacrifices he made, you know, and I didn't take those into account then, because I'm like, nope, you left us.
No.
You know, like
Right.
you divorced us.
My
you
dad,
know, but
my dad
Right.
moved wherever we
Yeah.
moved to. So when we lived in LA, he lived by
That
us.
is
Yep.
When we moved
And
to Rancho
now-
Cucamonga, he moved to
Yep.
Rancho Cucamonga.
And see,
yeah.
and now my son's father lives a mile away. Like we share the same grocery store, you know. And I,
That's
I
cute.
love it, you know, because in the event he's like, I just needed to walk, and like
That's
you
cute.
know,
That's
he
too much
knows-
for me.
He's like I'm not saying it's all, like I'm not saying it's not every day we're like, oh, let's go
Right,
shopping
right.
together. No, not
No.
at all. Like,
Right.
we definitely need our space, but it's like there's things like that I can appreciate
Right.
because I did have that, you know, and
Yeah.
you know, consistency is key for kids, especially when they're so
Absolutely.
impressionable at this age and this 1 through 5. Like that's so important, because that's when you create that neural
Yeah.
pathway in your brain
Yes.
that can either make or break your mental
It
state
shapes
and
their
your peace
future.
of mind
That's
as
right.
an adult.
Well, for my baby, she has consistency every Wednesday for 13 minutes for the last 11 years. But I mean, that's what it is.
But guess what? She was there with him. And that's what counts.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I never knew my dad. Or like some people would have covered it and be like, oh, your dad just went away and didn't want
Yeah.
to share them going into the prison or into the jails.
Yeah.
But you did that, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like sure, it could be better, but this is our cards. This is what we've been dealt.
Transparency
Yeah.
is key. It's very
This
key.
is just what
And
it is.
I remember explaining to one of my girlfriends just the other day about how I never wanted to be dishonest with my daughter. And so I feel, yes, okay, I'm going to tell you things based on your level of maturation.
Right.
and then we revisit it once you get older, and I tell you based on the level, but I'm never going to be dishonest.
Pray
with
about
you.
it. That's why I said pray about it.
And that was one of the things, because I just always had this, like, I'm not going to be that baby mama. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was
Yeah.
always trying to be the peacekeeper. I was always trying to keep it cool. I was always just like, well, you know, if you just take care of this and this, then we don't have to worry about child
Yeah.
support or just things
Right.
of that nature, as well as having the discussions with my daughter about who, you know, her dad really was, or some of the behaviors, you know. So I struggled with that because I was just like, in my mind, no matter what, I'm never going to paint him in a negative picture. And as she gets older, she'll see for herself. I don't need to tell her.
Exactly.
Like, she'll see it for
Yep.
herself.
And it happens.
And
it
it
comes
does.
the time they start seeing,
Yep.
they know what goes on.
Because I used to
Kids are
see my
smart.
daddy, and I used to be like,
Oh yeah, it switched up because in her
tripping.
mind, you know,
At first I was a daddy's girl, but then I
Yeah.
was like,
right? Because daddy, when dad came around, it would always be to go do something
Good
fun,
time.
right?
Right,
So in her
exactly.
mind,
That's
her
the
daddy was
problem.
fun, and then
He's
like
a good time dad.
right,
Exactly.
holiday dad. I used to call him. He's a
Yeah.
holiday dad.
Oh my goodness, I'm so terrible. Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
No, I always call my son's father. I'm like, you ain't about to be no Jack in the Box, daddy. Like, pop, you ain't gonna pop up, like
just
pop up
pop
and put
up.
you back in the box. Like,
Right.
I'm like, you're not gonna be that. Like, you need to be consistent, and you know,
And you're right. Consistency is key, because then after a while, that disappointment sets in. You know, because she wants to see him more than not. And so then, you know, as she's like, well, why this and why not that? And my dad said this and my dad said that. And I was just like, you know, because no matter what, you know, the picture can be painted that, you know, you're spiteful, you holding kids hostage for child
Yes.
support,
Yeah.
and you know, you just trying to control me, and you got to be in
Yes.
control of everything. You got to make all the choices, all the decisions, and things like that. So I'd always try to be really flexible. And what I look back now is like, I should have, even with dad, I should have been a little bit more protective.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so what I wish I would not have done is compromised on the things that I know I should have stood firm on.
oh yeah.
So, you know, okay, well, if you don't really have a place to stay, where are you taking my daughter?
right.
But then I'd be like, oh, then they're gonna say I won't let him see her, and then he's gonna tell her, your mom won't let me see you, and it's like, well, it's not that. I just need to know where my child is.
Right,
If you know, half the time we don't know where you are, and then you're just
Right.
gonna take my child and leave.
my goodness.
But then it's like, well, I'm the father. Don't worry about it. She's
I
with
remember
her dad.
that. I remember
And I would
that.
just be like, and so now, as you know, my teenager goes through all these different transitions and things are happening, and I was like, you know what? I should have just been that baby mama then,
Yeah.
and not care what, you know,
Yeah.
family thought or
I'm
friends.
literally trying to become that right now.
Yeah,
because
no,
my
protect-
baby's
just
so
make
young
your-
still, and I'm still in the thing, like in this
Phase.
in between, like, well, will we be back together one day? Will
Yeah.
he figure it out? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
I
so
was
like,
like that.
I'm still there, and I haven't accepted the fact that like maybe we'll never be together, or you'll never be together. I haven't accepted that yet. You
Yeah.
know, and
Right.
and that's, you know.
Well, at least you're transparent with it, and
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
honest with
and
yourself.
we're both like that. Like we're
Right.
both very like, gosh, we love each other so much. How come we can't figure it out? You know, and it's like maybe we were just supposed to meet just to have this beautiful
Yeah.
baby. You know what I mean?
Could
And
be.
I'm like, but what if I want more? Should we have more? You know, so I'm like, we kind of figured out this co-parenting situation, so maybe, you know, but then it's like, so it's hard because I'm so like, do I just close that door and lock it and like you throw away the key, like let you know, like
Right.
what? So I'm just like, am I giving you a little bit, and then I don't even know, like I don't know what I'm doing, like where's the book,
That's
like
the
you keep
single
saying, like
parents,
where's
how
the
many
You have to-
times-
that's a
It's
firm
so
decision
hard.
that you're gonna have to make.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah. How many
Yeah.
times
That's your heart.
did I hold my
Exactly.
children and cry with them because their dad would, I'm going to pick you up, I'm late, I can't make it.
Girls don't
Yeah.
only have
And
daddy
then-
issues; boys do too.
Oh, yeah, and
my
that's what- and
God,
I
my
feel
children
my
are
son's father
criers.
has one.
They would cry, and I would just hold because I wanted to say, "You mother of the Grand Canyon, why would you?" You know, but
Right.
why say? I would just hold them and cry and pray. Like
Mm-hmm.
let me tell you, that's when my children were little, God and I became like one because I was so frustrated. That's the only way I could, let's pray. Let's, it's hard being
Yeah.
a single parent. It's
so
hard.
hard.
Yeah.
I think in the situation with the questions that you have, that you should be more focused on not doing it for your son, but doing it for you.
Yes.
And
Because
I
you want him to
literally-
grow up in a healthy environment.
Yes.
And if you can't do it and
You're
you guys
so
can't
right.
get along,
You're so
don't do it
right.
for the
Yes.
sake of the kids. Be like, can we
and I
sustain a
didn't-
relationship?
And I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize that, like, he's just realizing that we're two separate people. Like, Les is like, oh, I have my own legs. I have my, you know, like,
Right.
he's just realizing, you know? So it's like he doesn't know, you know?
Yeah.
So he can only know what I teach him, and your mother is your first teacher. So he and I just being, like I said earlier, here's a leech. Sorry, I'm still breastfeeding.
Yeah.
So I'm still breastfeeding. So we're so much together. And so I didn't realize that my peace and my happiness is can either make or
Connected
break
to
Yes.
him. You know,
Yeah.
it's just,
Yes.
I didn't realize that if I'm off one day, like that's why he's throwing all these tantrums.
Yes.
If I'm happy or if I'm anxious,
They
like it affects
catch
him.
up on our
It-
energy.
yeah,
Yes.
it definitely does. And I
Yes.
didn't realize that. And I'm just I'm just realizing, like I said, a little earlier we were talking, and I quit my job, you know, and everyone told me not to. Don't do that. Don't do that. You're a single mom. You have a baby to take care of. And I just knew, I said, I cannot wake up like all these other people in my job for 30 years.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Right.
be miserable every day.
Right.
Right.
Because I'm miserable. When I'm at work, I'm miserable on my drive to work. The person I am, the work ethic that I have, I'm not
Yeah.
even living up to that because I hate my environment.
And I
Right.
don't want to bring it home.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then I
Right.
was bringing it home.
Yeah.
And so I had to make a decision as a mother, as a single mother, without a father on child support. Like, I had to make these decisions, and I did, you know, and I definitely like, okay, God, shift my focus.
Yeah.
Because I'm too focused on, should I sacrifice myself and my happiness just so my child can have
No.
a relationship with his
He
father?
could,
And the
he
answer
could
is
feel
no.
that. They could feel that. I've
Exactly.
seen parents that stayed together for their children.
Yes.
And when the children grow, they said, I wish they didn't do that.
did.
Because they
Right,
so
right.
held. They
Yep.
were going back and forth.
Exactly.
Me
It wasn't
too.
peaceful.
So, ladies, can I top you off with something else?
You know what? I think I will take
I will
Okay.
take one.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, such a wonderful